Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty, a faculty member at Kent State University, a podcaster, and kind of a technology fan, particularly around Apple products.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in playing with content and figuring out how to share it to other people so that they can see it. Currently, I'm working on plants, birds, astronomical events, and panoramic sequences.
Yeah, you just said you were outside trying to shoot a comet, and you have it in your background picture for those of us on YouTube. If you look and you can see
right
directly
here.
through the clouds.
Just picture a comet right there. The tail up there and the bright part at the tip over there. Yeah, it's glorious. The best comet ever. Such high resolution.
Yeah, we've got Urban VR saying Apple Video Pro rocks, no matter what anybody says in the YouTube chat room. If you'd like to join us, you can join us live when we record this on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/@visionprofiles. And you can also pick up the audio from podcasts later on, and you can pick it up from YouTube if you'd like to. But you get an opportunity, if you watch the video, to see Eric's almost comet over his left shoulder behind the clouds. You know, I was trying to think maybe I'd like to go out and try to take a shot at the Aurora Borealis, and, because where I'm located, but I can't get out of the city that is surrounded, everywhere I look is trees. And I need to get to some place where there's more horizon and out of the city lights to see it. And I thought about the comet too. I was getting kind of fascinated by those things.
The aurora was bright enough. You probably could still have gotten it. You'd have to use a phone camera or something for a timed exposure. But there are a bunch of pictures that people were doing in above Madison, trying to get the aurora above the Capitol, that seemed to turn out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I had a week this week. A couple of things happened. First thing was I took a bunch of students, well, teachers. I keep calling them students. They're teachers, international teachers, to the Apple Store. They're here for 6 weeks, and this was my third run to the Apple Store. And because I live, 35 minutes away from both of them, I'll alternate between Apple stores. So I walk into the one at Summit Mall in Akron, or Fair Lawn outside of Akron. And you know how they have those greeters at the front, and they're kind of like, what do you want to do? What's the story? Well, I've later found out the woman's name, I think, was Knight, is what she said. And I started to say, well, I'm here with some international teachers. My son was with me. This was the best part. I've got a 30-year-old son who knows everything, and, after the age of 5, he started trying to dismiss his father as much as possible, because that's what males do when they have to dissociate from their families, or disassociate from their families. And so he's standing with me because he was helping doing some of the driving, and it was very nice of him. But the lady says, "Oh yeah, I know you. I recognize your voice." And I said, "What from?" And she goes, "Vision Profiles." And
nice.
I blew my son away. I was like, "That's really neat. Thank you." And she's like, "Yeah, I listened to the show. It's really good." I said, "Do you have a headset?" She goes, "No, I haven't got one yet, but I'm going to get one for my dad, who's 80 years old and can't go to the beach anymore." And I thought, oh man. She goes, "Once he gets his, then I'll I'll consider about mine. I said, we need to have you on the show. And she said, well, we got to check with bosses as to whether or not as an Apple employee I can peer on it, etc. But I just love that. I love that story about her getting one for her 80-year-old dad, um, because he can't go to the beach anymore. But it
Perfect
was a little,
use.
yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of a shock. It was those little things like that the work that goes into producing this, which we don't get any money for, period. And I'm okay with that. It's those little things that are pretty cool when they happen. When you get that you get that recognized. I used to work in commercial radio and years ago, 30 years ago, and that's when we were still writing checks. We weren't using credit cards or and I would go into a grocery store and I'd say, oh, let me write the check. And I said, you want my ID? No, we recognize you and we can see your name on the
Oh,
check. And so we recognize you by your
okay.
voice. So yeah, we don't.
Nice.
So they were doing voice ID. So that was one thing that happened that was pretty cool this week for me. The second thing is smart glasses. I
Hmm.
got real interested in smart glasses, particularly with all the rumors, and we'll
Yeah.
talk maybe a little bit more about those tonight. And it was Amazon dollar deal days or whatever they call it, Amazon Prime days. And so I first picked up some Echo frames,
Hmm.
and I think they're in third generation Echo frames. And I think I bought a pair maybe first generation and didn't do much with it.
Okay.
But the pair that I got was really cool. It was kind of blue with shaded sunglasses on it. And I thought this will be cool. I can use it in the car, and when I'm in the car, I can drive with it and I can listen to podcasts or whatever while my
Oh,
wife and my daughter are doing something else. Um, so I got those, and we can talk about the differences. And then I picked up a set of Meta Ray Bans. Uh, I got refurbished because
oh,
that saved me
good
about
move.
$80, and I wanted the transition lenses in it. So I paid a little bit more to get transition lenses again because I'd want to wear them out and also, in the car potentially when I'm driving. So I've had both of those for a little over a week now, and it's been interesting.
So does the
Um,
transition lenses, does that make it easier to see when you're outside?
what it does is it like uh, transitions into sunglasses. So the sun activates them, the light activates them, and yeah, it makes it easier. There's less eye strain because
Yep.
you're in a sunny situation. Now we've just had 3 days of rain in Northeast Ohio, so
So,
so much for that. I did take them out Saturday night, and when I put them on, my daughter said, "Oh, that's the sunglasses. Those are the glasses for you, Dad. Those look really cool."
wow.
And they're just Ray Bans, and I've had Wayfarer Ray Bans all the time, so there's no real shape or size.
Okay.
Um, but I took them out to a restaurant, and there still is that glass hole effect that you can push a button and start filming. And I did do some filming in the restaurant because we're in a reconditioned church that is now a restaurant, and it was pretty impressive in terms of the architecture inside, and tried to do that as surreptitiously as I can without drawing too much attention.
So does it
Now,
put a blinking light on or
it
something? So
just
you,
puts a solid light on. It almost
yeah.
looks like you've got a bedazzle on one corner.
Ah, okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, it does let people know that. I was trying to figure out some great time to do this. So I went into the men's bathroom and put the glasses on. And I thought, this is probably not a good place
No.
to put the glasses. So no one else was in there, which was okay. So I hit the record button and walked out and, walked around because the only way I could get to see the whole restaurant was to go to the other end where the restrooms were. So I
And
figured
then
that's
walk
where
back.
I'll do
Yeah.
the video. So I did the video and was really surprised. It's a little bit of 360, well, fisheye sort of
Hmm.
presence to it, but the clarity is really good
Okay.
with the video and with the single shots on that.
So did you go back and watch that video from within the Apple Vision Pro as well to see if what it looked like there?
No, I haven't. I mean, it's stored to iPhotos, so I can go ahead and do that once I put it
Hmm.
on. I haven't had it on for a couple of days, so that's a good idea to kind of look at it and see what it looks like within that environment. Um, I think it would be cool if they just put a second camera on the other side, and then you could do spatial video
Oh,
with it and spatial photography. The thing that I'm struggling with the metas is learning all of the button pushes and then
hmm.
the frame slide along the side where you can slide along the frames and either increase volume or tap. I just don't know all of the movements that are associated with it.
Yeah.
It's even worse with the Echo. Um,
Hmm.
cannot figure out. There's not a lot of button control for the Echo. There is a voice control, but what I notice is when I say "Hey E," um, I'll wait and it'll go ding. If I say "Hey E, play this music for me," it will never catch any of it. So you really have to slow out the whole process where which I have to get used to. So I have to listen to the ding, then I have to wait and then say what I want it to do in order for it to happen. The speakers on the Echo frames, not very good. In fact, it sort of feels like those old earbuds that you would stick in from a transistor radio. I mean, it's really
Wow.
kind of bad in terms of sound for music. And I was streaming stuff from Amazon Music on it. The Meta, much better with sound. However, I think everybody around me could hear what I was listening to. Now, it could be because it was loud, um,
Hmm.
but much better with sound, much better with voice commands on it. So I'm pretty impressed with what Meta's got so far. Less impressed with Echo, um, but that's sort of my mini review on them. Don't know what I'm going to do with them. I mean, I've got some long driving trips planned, and so they'll probably accompany me for that purpose.
Hmm.
Did either of these at all fascinate you?
Not quite yet. I mean, I could see maybe coming up. It still bothers me a little bit having cameras on a pair of glasses where it's not obvious. I'd rather have an obvious camera um, than carry one around where you can't tell I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, so like Vision Pro,
Yeah, there,
there's no
there.
signal that you're recording.
Well, it puts an image up that's a little bit different when you're
Yeah.
recording. But no one's going to miss that you have a Vision Pro on your head. And whatever you're doing, they're going to assume something is happening and it's different. It's not subtle quite
Yeah.
yet. Um,
You, yeah, you're right about that.
so
Um,
and I think that uh it will take a while for all of the different choices that are out there for social rules to catch up with the technology, as far as, when can you record, when can you not record, um, and what one group of people think is appropriate is totally different from what another group thinks, and what's considered cool versus not cool, that seems to change.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to find this. I wish I could give you um the reference. There was an old Albert Brooks movie
Hmm.
um where, and I'll go into IMDb, that'll have it. Where he was it was one of his first films. And he basically, it was a takeoff on reality shows long before reality shows
Oh,
were part of it. And oh, I can't find it. Real life.
oh,
Um, it is a movie that is like a reality show. Film crew sets out to record your life, a year in the life of an average family, but things start to go wrong. The camera looks like a deep sea diving helmet.
okay,
So
that's
through
kind of
the whole
funny.
movie, you occasionally get this, can't, it's filming, but occasionally you get a back shot and you can see this person with this huge like diving helmet on that is actually, and it's supposed to be, I guess, people won't notice that. The family will just act natural with
Ignore.
this guy walking around. So, the idea of wearing an Apple Vision Pro headset and kind of not drawing attention to yourself, I think it's easier to do with the glasses. Now, Echo doesn't have cameras on it. It's the Meta that has the camera on
Oh,
it. So, but again, I found the user experience much better with the Ray-Ban
Meta.
Metas,
Yeah.
and fun to do.
Well, and
I put in,
evidently you look better in the Meta, in the Ray Bans.
well, the other glasses, I don't think my daughter has seen me in the other glasses.
Hmm.
They're kind of blue frame, smaller lens kind of glasses
Oh,
with a dark blue
hmm.
sunglass in it, and it looks rather hip. But the thing doesn't operate very well. The whole scenario doesn't operate very well. Let
Oh,
me see if I can. Oh, I think they're not
other room. Oh.
available.
So do
They're
either
in
one of
my
them
bag.
have like a button you can hit to give you a quick command list or something?
No, no,
Oh,
because they have no screens.
oh,
Um, it's just the glass that you're looking through. It's not like Google Glass. So yeah, I'm going to have to learn those. I'm going to have to, and it's not just learning what punching buttons does, but it's also how you punch the button. Because if you punch it twice and hold it down, it starts video. I think on the
oh,
Meta. I
okay,
again,
or something like
I
that.
can't remind it. And right now, the only instruction book that I can find is in Spanish. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
so, but it has a Meta has they have a really good app for it.
Oh,
And the other
so
thing
does
that
it
I
let
note,
you remotely start video from the app, or do you have to physically press a button?
I don't know. I think you have to physically press a button.
Okay.
I the
That makes me feel a
the
little better. Otherwise, you could just set the glasses on a counter and start recording.
what kind of dangerous, terrible life do you lead that you're afraid somebody's going to record you, Eric?
I can not really comment on my other job.
Or you'll have to kill me. Um, there's there
Let's
is
just say the lasers have to remain secret.
yeah, okay. The space lasers, you're controlling the weather.
No, no, they're
You couldn't
definitely
get,
on the
however, you
ground.
couldn't get rid of those clouds behind you to see the comet.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use government equipment for that.
Uh, so the app is better. The Bluetooth seems to bust a lot with the
Hmm.
Echo. I have to go in and I
Wow.
have to. It says can't find Bluetooth or check your connection a lot. And I don't know. I keep my phone in my pocket. I don't know if that's it, but I have to go in and reset the Bluetooth to find it. And that's not a big deal, but I guess I could probably even do it with a widget or something. But that just seems to happen a lot with the Echo in my case too. So
Hmm.
I put an article in from Macalope, the Macalope. It's a Macworld article that is it really a wearable if you shouldn't be wearing it? And Macalope talks about the Orion, the Meta Orion glasses and the cost and the ridiculousness of that. But then still the idea of invasion of privacy or unknown, people don't know that you're taking in what is going on around them. So it's an interesting article and it talks about, when you have a Vision Pro headset on, pretty much people know that you've got a Vision Pro headset on. So
Yes.
I'll put that in. News, Juno, the app that was our substitute for YouTube, has been yanked. It's been removed from the App Store. There's other stories in there about Google really was the people that approached and, of course, Apple to get them yanked. And they said it was kind of a violation of their, let me see what the
I think they just didn't like having an app that had a nice user interface.
yeah, it was nothing special, but still, it was just a CSS wrapper around it. And so I put a couple articles. You can catch these in the show notes, either on YouTube or in the podcast, talking about how it's been removed. The concern was alludes to their trademarks and iconography being used, but it
But you
Kristen Zelig, who was doing this, who did the Apollo app
read it?
for Reddit and got bounced out of there because of the cost that Reddit was charging all app developers to use their API.
Yeah.
Went on to this as an interest project, and I don't know, did they object to the fact that the YouTube symbol was in the website? It was a wrapper for their website. It really was
Yeah. It's just a
not
web
much more.
browser.
Yeah. So he
So
wasn't putting anything up that they weren't putting up, and he wasn't altering it by putting a trademark or anything down in the corner to indicate that you're running it on Juno. So um, Google went after them,
I'm
and
sure we will hear about others, over the next
oh
few
yeah,
weeks as well.
yeah. Um, so we have some stories on that. Engadget has a story on it. Um, Kristen Zelig's blog. We have an article from there. And then finally, Max Sparky, who we all know and love, just a short article acknowledging that YouTube will no longer let Christian Zelig publish through Juno, the Juno app. So do you want to take the lead on this next story, which is about the immersive video?
Yeah. Submerged. It's a World War II sub video. And they did an awesome job with it. Um, and it's filming immersive video, I think, takes different techniques and different strategies from just what people have done for video in the past. It's harder to just put totally fake special effects and have it be believable. So if you can have some structure that's real, that it has depth, I think that makes a difference. If you can have a connection to the characters that are in the film, whether it's elephants or dinosaurs or submariners, um, that makes a difference as well. And so they set this up, they introduce um, the characters, and they run through the scenario, and you get the action and the events, and um, it's I don't want to describe it more because I don't want to ruin it for somebody, but it is worth watching.
I put the headset on and saying, "Oh, I can finally watch the trailer. I've got some time here." And I put the headset on and then realized I can't find the trailer because the damn thing is out. It was maybe Friday night, and
Yep.
and I started watching it, and I was afraid I'm going to get vertigo or seasick or claustrophobic sense. And I didn't get that. So that might be a good warning for people who want to see it. I regret these things can't be seen by anybody who doesn't have a Vision Pro headset. I mean, even if they
Yeah.
did a 2D version of it for the folks who want to see, and you can kind of imagine
It wouldn't be the
that.
same though.
I know. Even watching it on a flat screen,
I just
it's
wish that they would let you schedule a demo at the Apple Store, and that you could say, and I want to watch Submerged, or I want to watch one of the other video, and pick the video you want to watch. And
yeah.
maybe go in a couple of times and watch a different one each time.
Well, it's you're right. It's a great video from opening shot. You're in this submarine. The story I thought was we've seen this story before. Movies inside of submarines when they get flooded and that experience, but completely different experience in with spatial video.
It's putting you
Um,
right there. You get to see the stuff next to you and in front of you. But when they film it, they do a really good job of, the camera's not moving all over the place, and
right.
the people are pausing just long enough so that, that's not causing motion sickness either. So there was a lot of thought that went into how to kind of position everything.
Yeah, you get into action films sometimes where I think those poor stunt folks who are doing the action trained for hours and all you get are such fast cutting in clips. You can't appreciate the artwork that goes into them giving somebody a knockout blow or something like that because
Yeah.
the camera is moving too quick. The editors are cutting it so quickly. This is slow and steady. And it helps build the emotional reaction to the film.
Yeah.
Um,
There were a
I
couple of
think,
spots where I really wanted to like reach out and help push on the door.
yeah,
Just another couple people, maybe that would do it. And
yeah, and and not to ruin that climax portion of it. Um, but I'll tell you, I was watching it and kind of fell into it on a Friday night, and for some reason, my wife came down into the living room and decided to ask me what my schedule was for tomorrow. It's like, I'm sorry,
wow.
I'm in the middle of a submarine. And it's having, and she's like, so when are you going to leave? And what are you going to do? And I'm like,
There's an emergency going on in my head. I'm sorry, I can't talk just now.
I
A
think I,
couple
I
more
think I,
minutes.
I did stop it at that point because she was not going to go away. It was going to be a longer conversation than the movie. Uh, And, but it does say something. I mean, people, not that they should respect you when you have the headset on, but if you're with family, they're gonna, and they get used to it, they're gonna kind of just pretend they can carry on conversations. They don't know what you're in the middle of at the time. So, yeah, so I shut it off, but returned to it, and it was good. It was good, and I thought, okay, it's only 16 minutes, so let's do five more of these and get a 90-minute film out of it. But then again, I was thinking if I sat and watched something like this for 90 minutes, I don't know if my head could handle it.
Yeah, this is a much safer time frame.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that they still haven't quite gotten the headset strap combination correct so that it's nice and comfortable. This is short enough that you can watch it. It's captivating. It wouldn't be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Another article that we included with this was a first look at the camera that's used for it. And in the article, they say actually you saw this camera when they were shooting MLS, when they did the MLS end of season, they were using that camera. And they could only speculate on it because there was no details on it. But it's a fascinating picture to look at the camera. I couldn't see much on. I could see the two lenses, obviously. They're very prominent. But I did notice that it seemed to have I don't know, tilt and pan gears on the side, which
But it's
makes me think,
it's it's locked in so that it doesn't, you keep the horizon really, really stable.
yeah,
So if you look at those gears, you can pan right and left, but there's not going to be any tilt.
yeah, yeah. In the back, I think it looks like there is also a up and down pan, but again, it's not like it's on a gimbal of some sort and somebody's holding it. I mean, or a steady cam in
Yeah.
that sense. It's really quite impressive to look at. And of course, they couldn't say much about it. They talked about, what is it? Blackhawk, uh, the competitor that we've heard,
Black Magic.
Black Magic, as being kind of the other competitor for this kind of camera and one of the leaders in the field about it. People have already written articles about Black Magic and spatial photography and spatial video with it, but yeah, not a lot of secrets given away from this, but if you're a camera buff and you'll find out a lot more about the camera, and it's just impressive to look at that shot, the picture of it. The It just happens the discussion and the comments are all about, is this camera upside down? Is the photo upside down? Or is the camera upside down and the photo is right side up? And so people are trying to figure out the mounting of this and from the comments. And so pretty interesting article there.
It's not quite a diving helmet, but I don't think that would be a hidden camera either.
Really need to go see Real Life with Albert Brooks's old film just to appreciate that. You could Google that and get some still shots from
Yeah.
that movie, and you'll realize how silly it was. Article about Dan Riccio or Riccio, key executive in of both Jobs and Cook's eras, is going to retire. He was also the person that headed up the Apple car and the person who headed up the engineering around the VisionPro. It's an interesting, rather long article that goes a lot into his history and who's going to follow him up and who's going to take different parts of what is the VisionPro section, and there's an engineering part and then there's a product part, and those are going to be split between two folks in terms of the work on it. But the person who's doing the engineering part is really the head of that whole Vision Pro piece now. I'll tell you the toughest part about this article is, and I've seen other articles referring to this retirement, is how cruel the people are making comments.
Yeah, it's not. It's best to avoid reading the comments.
Is it sure, or is he sure he's retiring or because he had two failures or flops? And they paint those kinds of loaded comments on a situation that they don't know anything about. And as a result, it really taints the article. The guy has served for
Yeah.
26 years. He's got a college or a school named after him, an engineering department
And
named
there's some
after him.
phenomenal technology that has come out of all of the different projects he's done that have helped every other product.
Yeah.
So,
And, so he talks about how he's worked there for 26 years and he just kind of wants to go on, particularly to work within the college or
mhm.
engineering college that is named after him, apparently, according to this article. Maybe teach some courses, maybe do some curriculum, create some things in there.
Yeah.
The guy is finding a way to spend his retirement from Apple in a healthy way. But people still want to point to it as he's being pushed out, you know.
Although, I mean, that's been a problem kind of all along for Apple. People not having enough patience and being able to look far enough ahead
Yeah.
and, you know, just thinking technology is not quite ready or just wasn't right, and they just need to wait for a tiny bit longer.
Another news article. Did you get a survey?
No,
I
although
didn't
I
get a
got
survey.
one a while back,
Yeah.
um, uh, asking kind of it looks like similar questions.
Yeah, I got one. I don't recall all of these questions a while back. You and I talked about this
Yeah.
when they first did the what I thought was an initial customer, review. And so apparently they're pushing it out again. They are asking questions like, how are you satisfied with your Apple Vision Pro? They really want to know what folks are using it for and how often they use it. Those are the kind of the primary aspects. Asking questions for like, what purpose would you use Mac Virtual Display for, or what do you do with it? Um, Yeah, just a lot of questions that seem to be zeroing in on kind of future uses and getting an idea maybe about how to where to put their energies. Like with the watch, it
Yep.
kind of moved towards a health device. And so their energy and their development around it, the watch has been more and more a health device, health assisting device. They ask for satisfaction across multiple categories, including comfort while wearing, durability, weight, battery life, screen resolution, fit and stability, ease of use, responsiveness to eyes and hands, and ease of setup. They also want to know what accessories people use with Apple Vision Pro,
If they keep,
third-party headbands,
yeah,
cases, belt clips.
do they keep the battery plugged in all the time or unplug it?
Yeah, who did I see? I saw somebody was talking about having trouble with theirs because they kept it plugged into the battery all the time, and I don't know why.
I always keep mine plugged into the battery. And the only issue I have is that when I've got more than one device right now, after it gets charged, I get a beep sound when it hits 100% until I unplug it.
Yeah, Dave Ginsburg sent a link to what is basically a charging stand for Apple Vision
Hmm.
Pro that someone's making. I ordered it through Etsy, and it has a place, a tray to put the battery in, and the picture shows it connected directly to the Vision Pro, and then a charge going into the battery. So it's
Yeah.
basically daisy chained in. And I don't understand why folks would keep that expensive a device uh, plugged in and turned on all the time,
Mine's always
even
turned
if
on.
it's sleeping. What?
I always have mine. It's always on and plugged in. Because if I don't plug it in, then when I go to put it on, it's out of power.
Well, plugging the battery in is one thing.
Yeah.
Attaching it to the headset and
Uh-huh.
keeping it running for me is a bigger issue.
Oh, yeah, I always have it all connected.
Yeah, I mean
I've got Apple Care.
the the 30 seconds it takes you to turn that little thing on is going to ruin
That's
the
too long.
experience for you.
Well, because I
Uh,
want everything all set up the way it was set up. And if you turn off or
oh,
reset
okay.
or
Yeah, then you have
whatever,
to
then
reset your
stuff.
windows.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you've got a whole pile of windows and they're all arranged doing, I want to just put it on, pick up, do whatever I was just doing, then take it off and set it down.
See, the Vision Pro is my clean world. That's the
I don't
world
want
where I
clean.
don't have a lot of garbage up on.
I, I want a world where physics doesn't matter. I want windows and screens and I want overlapping and whatever I'm focused on at that minute is visible no matter how many screens are before, overlapped or in front or just behind or
I'll
whatever.
tell you, that is the reason why I never point my camera down to my desktop, because that's where my world is chaos. I want that immersive world to be set up and useful. I've heard of, concerns early on about the overheating, about fans going on, crack gate, all of that with some relationship at the time to keeping your thing plugged on and in sleep mode. So I just always turn it off. I do that with my computer though at night. I don't leave my computer running all night long either. So
Oh, of course, I do that too.
yeah. Um, so anyways,
I don't have the
they've got
patience to wait.
yeah, they've got another survey coming out, or it's out. So if you're a Vision Pro user, you might get that. Let's talk about betas. As I was prepping the show, it's like, gee, I wonder if a beta is going to come out today. And sure enough, it did. The fifth beta, and it came out for the Watch OS 11.1, Vision OS 2.1, and tvOS 18.1 for the developer. So I haven't put it on yet. I thought maybe I'd take some time after work and put it on, and instead I kind of just kicked back and had a good time. I did do some searching on it, and it this particular beta includes several key updates and improvements. One of the most notable additions is access to the App Store, allowing developers to download and test apps directly on the Vision Pro. Additionally, this update brings improvements in the mindfulness app. How do you improve a mindfulness app? You make it more mindful?
Maybe it's either more reactive, more responsive, or just more stable, better
And
colors.
offering better integration with Vision Pro's unique spatial computing capabilities.
Oh,
So I'll have to
okay.
check out the mindfulness app.
Don't
They
forget to
don't
breathe.
detail, yeah, don't forget to breathe. Uh, while Apple has not detailed many of the new features for the beta, it continues to refine the system with bug fixes and optimizations. So that is Vision OS 2.1 Developer Beta 5, build 22N5573A,
Hmm.
for those who are keeping up on the numbers. Um, No Mac virtual display. Oh, the Reddit people were going upset. They were like,
You think that'll
at
come out in 2.1, or do you think it'll be a 2.2?
well, that was what somebody was saying. They said it's going to be a 2.2. And frankly, they said all Apple promised was it would be here by the end of the year. They didn't promise it would be in 2.1. They didn't promise it would be in 2.0.1. So by the end of the year, which is probably December 31st at 11:59 p.m.
And I don't know how much of the issue is coming from the Mac side and how much is coming from the Vision Pro side.
Well, that was the thing. They also noticed that there was no update in Sequoia. And they think those two things are going to be parallel, that there'll
Yeah.
be a Sequoia update and a Vision Pro update that will will be able to create the virtual display that everybody's waiting for. And that Apple apparently in its survey is asking about. So,
So, and I figure that, I mean, they have to have the new OS to be able to release the new hardware,
yeah.
which should be coming out shortly. And then there's always
Yeah.
an update just a little bit after that. So, I would think it wouldn't surprise me if the two things were separate.
Yeah. We're looking at M4s in MacBook Pros and in Mac Studios. And there was a fourth, but it wasn't an Air. In the minis, potentially in the
Oh,
new
yeah.
mini. So yeah, it might be through that whole progression. I put some links in of support videos, and I tell you, even if you're a well-seasoned Apple Vision Pro user, they have 11 or 12 videos that are linked under one site on YouTube. And the first link it's a link to Apple support Apple Vision Pro videos on YouTube. That link will give you the whole catalog. But they put new ones in over the last couple of weeks. Things like accessibility features on the Apple Vision Pro, how to create spatial photos on the Apple Vision Pro, and how to customize home view on the Apple Vision Pro. These are all like 2-minute videos, and they're great just to kind of review that stuff instead of putzing around and trying to figure out how to do it. Just watch the video and then jump right in and do it.
Yeah, they're very, very watchable and nice and clear. So it's well worth it.
And then I put this article in. It was a Mac Observer article, how to use spatial photo capture in iOS 18 on the iPhone 15 Pro, but I presume it's also on the 16 Pro.
Yep.
And it's a nice little short article that says turn the camera on its side, make sure that you're on the spatial, and then here are the two buttons that you can push that will tell you whether you're taking a picture or whether you're taking video. Um, for for folks who want to get into it and folks who aren't into it yet with their phone, this is a 1-minute read and it'll give you all the directions you need to be able to do it.
And I will say that the spatial photos and the spatial video taken from the phone now is very good, and I think perhaps even better than what I get from the Apple Vision Pro. Um, it also is a lot more subtle to have your phone out taking pictures than to put a headset on and get ready, and then you got to hold your head nice and stable so that it doesn't move around. You can put your phone on a tripod or prop it on something. So yeah, collect the content with the phone and then put it over on the headset.
Just a reminder, you can follow us live on the stream at youtube.com/@Vision Profiles, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or catch the video later on YouTube and also the audio on any of your podcast servers. Apple's doing some training worldwide. This article came out a couple of weeks ago. For everybody who's saying, oh, it's dead, Apple doesn't want to support it, it sure seems like they're spreading themselves thin around the world, teaching developers how to create apps for this program. I don't know if you have anything on that to add.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in many ways early days for development. Even like the just filming movies, it's taking a while for people to get used to it. It's taking a while for developers to get used to it and try stuff out and switch from, doing a development for a virtual device to actually getting to play with a device in person. So yeah, it's not really surprising that it's taking a little while to kind of get everything going. So I'm still pretty hyped about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I just made the mistake of reading the comments on this Apple Insider article.
Yeah, no, skip that.
Kicking a dead horse is what this is. I mean, what's the win on that if that person's right?
Well, I mean, that being said, it's not wrong to go through and look at places where you'd like to have improvements. I mean, I sent
Yeah.
you an article earlier that we didn't put in here from Mastodon with someone who had been playing with their device and running through and going through a bunch of different tasks, and they had a range of things where there's some shortcomings. And I don't disagree with a lot of that. There certainly can be improvements. Um, and there are places where you can provide feedback. Certainly, filling out the survey and expressing an opinion on what improvements you want to see first is well worth it.
Yeah.
And it maybe encourage some developers to fill in the blanks.
Well, I am, yeah, it's, there's a good article. I mean, it's a good article on itself, on the events that are going around worldwide and when things are going to happen, um, and different countries and cities that it's occurring in worldwide. Um, Whatever you think of the product at this point, it seems like Apple is supporting that with developer events. We had a little stick in the stream. That's why I was a little distracted with that. Rumors, we shouldn't talk about rumors, but that seems to be a lot of the press. And this is a bunch of stuff on Apple smart glasses that has been kind of peel off stories from Mark Gurman and his Gurumer, as I like to call them, about what's going to happen with Apple in the future and quote good sources in 2027. But then everybody kind of picked up on that article, and I think I have the Bloomberg article by Gurman in there, called "Apple Has New Smart Home Strategy Screens Everywhere," and within that they talk about kind of the future. He talks about the future of Apple Vision Pro and things like HomePod and other kinds of devices that will have screens, smart displays. Um, but they're picking up on this idea that Apple's going to have smart glasses with AirPods with cameras, and those could launch in 2027. So I imagine the configuration is the glasses have the camera, the AirPods is your sound system, and that's all connected in some way with it.
Hmm.
Of course, they immediately start off the article by talking about the price of the Vision Pro headset, because we can't have an article without knowing how much does it cost, Eric? Can you tell me? Don't close your eyes.
Without looking at an article, I don't know. They keep putting different prices in there. It For a while, I almost thought maybe it was like $3,500 or something, but
Yeah. Sometimes you see it listed as $3,499, which I think is funny.
yeah,
It's the literal retail price, but they didn't want to round up. I guess they weren't donating to some kid's cause. Pay an extra buck for your Vision Pro headset, and we'll donate to some kid's cause. So, anyways, articles about the idea, and then this Mac Daily News article. They don't wait for the comments in this article. They print the crap right in the article where they start to talk about, well, welcome to the vigil, and then they scratch that out. Party, Mark, and they go on to rant about Cook and shareholders and all this stuff, and trying to catch up to rivals, including the world's most valuable company, Microsoft, and new generative AI. So they're again saying Apple's not first at the gate. And yeah, we know that. It's because
good thing as far as I'm concerned. They
yeah,
have
they
not
let other
managed to
people,
fully
yeah,
embarrass themselves in front of everyone.
yeah. Microsoft's Copilot has not won any awards for privacy. Yeah, the Mac Daily News article, the rest of it kind of goes through and comments that they've gotten from previous issues where they're trashing whatever Apple's doing. And so who knows in 2027 if we'll see glasses or not. Again, I have a link to the Bloomberg article. There's also a Tech Radar article where they talk about how new leak claims Apple Vision Pro is headed into mass production later this year, which is contrary to recent reports that mass production in 2025, despite development news that development would stop. That was never news that development was going to stop. That was rumors that development was going to stop. Struggled to get even more than 100,000 units by July 2024. Sales have gone beyond 100,000 units. It's doing fine. Um, so again, a lot of this trash talking.
Well, the other thing I guess I find interesting about all of this is it's not like the watch and the phone and the iPad and the computers are all completely different, totally unrelated um, products and code bases. And I think for whatever reason, people seem to forget that. So if there's development that's done in one product, it can certainly benefit, you know, several of the other products. And the griping about how this one product isn't maturing fast enough, or they want some other change, or whatever, and then you see a bunch of the changes show up in one of the other products, you're just at a different point of the product cycles. In if you pick and choose from each of them, there's definitely a lot of movement, a lot of activity happening. And then they're in that big, huge switch over to M4s for all of the computers. That's taken a lot of work and effort, and I the timing all seems to be actually pretty good. Everyone's getting used to the Vision Pro. The All the Apple Intelligence stuff is slowly rolling out. The hardware to support it is kind of showing up now. Uh, so I'm kind of feeling good about going into 2025.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to have this podcast for a while. Um, the Tech Radar again reminds us of what the price is, not only in the U.S. but also in pounds and Australian money. Uh, and is one of the reasons why it failed to drive up more sales. Yeah. And I love this quote at the end. There's still a lot we don't know about the specs of the Apple Vision Pro 2. Whoa.
Yeah. No one knows anything about the specs of that. It hasn't been released yet. So, yeah,
But if
big
Apple can
surprise.
deliver a more affordable headset with the proposed M5 chipset, it may spell a win for Giant Tech. I saw some articles that were talking about the next headset's going to be $2,000, and they're removing some aspects of it, and including the googly eyes, and that's going to save them a lot of money. I
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, somebody picked up the $2,000 price tag, and then people were arguing whether that was still too much for headsets. Um, will Apple ever, a Mac Rumors article, will Apple ever make AR smart glasses? And very short article by Mac Rumors where, well, not a short article. It's kind of a longish article, but they compare it to some of the other AR glasses that are available. And of course, reflect back on what Gurman said, that Apple would not launch a new version of Vision Pro prior to the end of 2026.
Hmm.
So it's not a bad article, but again, it's written in Mac Rumors. And then they talk about Meta's smart glasses near the end of it, and the Orion and Meta Orion.
And for some reason, everyone keeps forgetting that they keep upgrading the operating system. And you don't have to necessarily release brand new hardware to get
Yeah.
improved features.
And we are barely into the second version of the hardware.
And it has gotten significantly better.
So we're a couple more articles and we're rolling through this. There's an article I included from Call to Mac that was a Vision Pro article about work. Why Vision Pro is great for writing is the title of it, but that's just one aspect of it. It goes into other parts of focused work, Mac virtual display, accessories, and it talks about this being, and it starts out by saying costing nearly $3,500. That's the first line of the article. Um, it's wonderful for consuming immersive media, except so and so. And then the guy talks about this is written by, got to roll back here to find it. Griffin Jones, D. Griffin Jones, um, and talks about it for work purposes, which is really cool. And I think we're doing some things with Vision Pro Focus with Chuck Joyner, and we've got some shows proposed at this point. Sort of the ideas that we're going to be knocking around with him, but one of them is productivity, because I know you use it much more as a productivity, or you can use it as a productivity device. Where I use it for some work, but not a lot of work. And So this is a good article that talks about productivity possibilities with the device. And then some things about competition. Microsoft discontinuing its mixed reality HoloLens 2 headset, which when it first came out was cost how much? $3,500.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's discontinuing its mixed reality headset, the HoloLens 2. And there's speculation in the article as to whether this is why they're doing this.
Well,
And,
I'm sure it's because the HoloLens was $3,500 in old dollars, and Apple's got it in new dollars yeah.
yeah, shiny new
So
dollars.
yeah. So if they do a HoloLens like 3 for $3,500 next year, then they'll be all set.
Well, this is they're ending software support for HoloLens too. That's right.
Yeah.
So part of it is they're trying to rethink, or the article claims they're trying to rethink the technology at this point. And cameras, uh, processors, memory, all of that stuff has changed and will continue to change. So they have to kind of regroup on that if they go back into this market at all, because we've got Apple working from the top down and you've got Meta working from the bottom,
Bottom up.
well, pretty much the bottom,
Wow.
because they discontinued their Meta Pro. That was the $1,000 model. And they have this fantasy of an Orion that's currently 10K that they're putting out there primarily because um, Mark said, Zuckerberg said, we're going to have something on the market within 5 years. And they didn't. But 5 years to the date, they showed this 10K prototype. Um, and they're
That's almost
saying
as good, right?
it's coming. Just give us another 3 years. We'll have it. Um, so I think Microsoft's kind of caught in the middle with it. They just don't have the focus on it. And Microsoft has also dropped their phone, the one last foldable phone they had. I was at one point tempted to get that because I had a Microsoft phone because I was working with a grant that we were getting those phones for people to use. And so I got one to be able to use. And frankly, I'd liked the interface. It was kind of a nice phone. So I thought, well, I'll look at their foldable when the new version comes out. Well, the new version came out and they're dropping it at this point. They're not doing their, I guess they call it a Surface something.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, Microsoft is kind of in a funky place. There's also some Viture XR glasses that are interesting. They are, what are they? What's the cost on them?
That's a
I
good
thought it
question.
was, I'm going to the bottom. Oh, available on Amazon. Oh, for 459. I wasn't really too impressed with the specs on it, and I think this is a case where this has to be tethered to run. So you have to
Yeah.
tether it to a device to run it. Has it what appears to be from the article, um, its own filing system or operating system to run on the glasses. Um, so
Isn't it
yeah,
effectively basically just a display?
yeah,
So it's just
yeah,
pulling in from whatever you plug into it.
yeah. I had one of the international teachers show me this, and they were like, "Well, what do you think?" And then I went, I looked at the video of it, and it was basically a guy doing gaming and getting really tired looking at his game screen. And then he kind of laid back and put the glasses on, and the screen was up in front of him, but it was essentially mirroring off the device that he was using. And the international teacher was saying to me, "No, this is like a new screen. It's like a second screen." I'm like, "No, it's a mirror. It's nothing more than a mirror on this." So that's another one of the competitions. And then we have in here something that you found from Mastodon, and it was a spec comparison chart where when you click on it,
Oh,
it'll go to the the graphic that shows spec comparisons between devices. You talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting because it discusses the um, type of screen, the field of view, how wide of an angle it is, whether it has eye tracking or face tracking or hand tracking, how many cameras it has, um, the CPU that's being used, and an attempt to kind of discuss some performance levels on it. They've got the weights, prices, and what was the other thing? It was the amount of storage and memory. Um, so it's one of the few charts I've seen that actually lets you look kind of across a bunch of different products and then see comparison wise, which is also helpful if you're reading an article because that the articles aren't always clear about what the differences are.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have the chart has a color coding,
Oh,
which in my eyes goes from dark gray to light gray to dark gray. As a
that's what I was
colorblind
gonna
person,
say.
I can't discriminate very well, and it's listed best to worst as part of the legend of these different frame colors. And so you can go in there, and if you have better rods and cones than I do, you might be able to see what at least someone's evaluating as the best to worst components in these different devices. So we'll have that link again in show notes within the YouTube video and also within the podcast show information.
I keep meaning to ask you, have you tried the Apple Vision Pro, putting it on, turning on the accessibility to do color boost and color filter shifting? So
Nah,
that if you're reading an existing chart, it shifts enough that you can at least tell that there's a difference between two things.
no, I haven't tried that. I just successfully got through Bad Monkey last week, and that was a minor victory. So I'm looking for the next series to watch for entertainment. Let's talk about some new apps, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Sounds good. Let's
One of the apps um, that I saw picked up on Reddit is Skybox Media Player. This app's only available on Apple Vision Pro. It plays anything easily, is what it says with it. Cost is $9.99. So I slammed down the $10 for it, um, all in the name of science. And it allows you to go through and look at what files you have available that are in um, available for you to be able to look at in terms of media. Supports a variety of video formats, including AV1, MP4, MKV, MOV, TS, WEBM, and many more, and many others. You can enjoy normal 2D content, 3D content in a side-by-side and top-bottom format, VR 180, 360, fisheye 200, 220 contents, all in Skybox. Features includes supports playing high resolution and HDR videos, supports playing pictures, streaming screen with Windows systems, and supports subtitles, 3D VR format of videos and recognizes those automatically, and has advanced settings like aspect ratio, color toning, variable speed playback, shuffle, and repeat of videos. Has
And
some
you
really good
said
ratings.
before it's an Apple Vision only, so it's targeted. It's not just a
It's not
iPad
a
app.
yeah, it's not a ported over iPad app. Um, And at least this, yeah, I mean, this is an Apple focused on Apple Vision, and we like to talk about those. So I'm going to have to load some media, maybe get some things from my Plex server and see what I can do. I'll take a look and see if I can pull those videos that I shot out of, with my Meta glasses and play them through Skybox Media Player.
Yeah. I
Next
picked
app,
it up as well. I haven't tried putting videos through it yet, but
yeah,
it did
yeah,
open. The controls look clear. Searching
right,
my network, it was able to find things. So,
yeah. So take a look at that, listeners and watchers. Skybox Media Player, if you're looking for a good media player option. One that we talked about a few weeks ago was Close Encounters, and I paid $4.99 for it. Haven't paid any more for it. Um, but you think, okay, I paid $4.99, and they did their thing with this one short storyline, and that's it. Well, 2 weeks later,
oh,
they've
then they
got a
had another
second
one. Yeah.
storyline out, which is why I'm bringing it up again. This time it's in the subway, and you're underground in a subway with it. So I'm excited, and I hope the developers continue to uh, create more of these little stories and keep building on to the device or the app with the different stories.
So, did you run into any difficulties with the storyline and positioning and like the subway? I kind of ended up in the middle of the subway getting run over all the time. And the backpack, I picked it up too soon and then it disappeared and it wasn't there later when it would say, "Hey, you could use the backpack."
Yeah,
Um,
I did some choice points with the first one. I remember that. And
okay.
I do all of my Vision Pro stuff from the couch. So I don't get up and walk around the room too much unless I have to, and unless I've got pass through. This is not a pass through kind of
No,
environment.
you
This
do
is a
not
total
want to be
immersive
wandering
environment.
around.
So I'm sitting on my couch and I'm looking out. In the first one, I'm looking out the windows of the cabin and I'm seeing things happening outside. And for some reason, then I turn to the left and there's a window, and one of those little guys is popping around the window.
Oh, really? I missed that. I'll have to go back and
Yeah,
watch that one.
yeah. So
Huh.
you've got to do the full 80, a 180 at least. But yeah, that's where, because I'm sitting there and okay, what's going on? There's nothing going on outside. There's nothing. So I start looking around the room, and then I see some things popping through the window, which
Hmm.
was pretty cool. So reintroduce you to Close Encounters. It's $5, stays $5, and you get now two little storylines to play with. Very dark, very immersive, very shadowy in that sense. But that's kind of what you want when you're dealing with aliens.
Yeah. And I guess I still had some oddities with the controls, but um, I definitely would want to encourage them to kind of keep doing the development.
Yeah.
And and I went through both of the options that are out there now. It looks like there's two more coming up. So I was more than willing to kick in the $5 to kind of keep them going.
And then the last app is OmniCard. It is essentially a free app. I'm really impressed with this. Unfortunately, it will require me to have friends
Really?
to
You
be
can
able to
move the
come and,
cards around though, even without friends.
yeah, yeah, sure. But from what I've seen, and I've had some contact with the developers saying we'll come on the show. We'll walk you through it, those kind of things, and I will maybe invite them in to talk about their app sometime. But you should take a look at this, even if you just go to the App Store, and we have a link to the App Store for it. It's really pretty cool. I don't know if you had a chance to
Yeah.
look at it.
Well, and I would say, so like the cards are in a little card holder thing in the middle of the table, but there's
Right.
a bunch of thought that has gone into the controls. So they have those little disc things on the four corners. So even if when you set the cards into the table, so it's kind of flush, they give you something you can grab to get it back off the table and move it around. And, because there are a bunch of apps that are out there where if you position things a little bit off, then there's no way to grab it again.
Yeah.
They have most definitely played with this and they fixed some of the controls. The other controls are neat. Picking up the cards, it's a good feel. You can, pick up a card, you can put it down on a table, you can pick it up from one part of the table and move it to another part of the table. So yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, the price is free. There are in-app purchases, which are different types of card decks. And I don't can't remember if I ever played Taboo, but I know it's a popular card game.
Yeah,
And it has its own set of cards.
hmm,
Um, and so I bought a playing card type one, which was $2.99, and I bought the Taboo game. And I think directions come with it if you want. It's just I really like the design. The fact that I was sitting on my couch and the table was kind of floating up at my head level, and I
yep,
could grab those two end pieces real easy and lower it, and then
yes.
I could have that in front of me. Um, I think you connect with friends using Discord or
Hmm.
a couple of other social media apps that are available. I really would love to see some way to do it through personas. Like if you have a collection of friends that are that they're personas that you can connect with them and say, come on, let's play a card game.
Well, it
Some
says
easier way than going
FaceTime
through.
share play, so I would think
Okay.
that that would give you that.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I have not had a chance to try that part out. That would be a lot of fun. Hmm.
Yeah. It is very cool. Intuitive based controls, lifelike physics simulation. I remember them like shuffling the cards too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Play with friends via FaceTime share play. But I also noticed there are connections on there for a Discord group.
Hmm.
Now, they might have
Yeah.
sort of like a Discord group that if you want to find someone to play with, you can pull them in that way. Find them and pull them in
Yeah.
that way. So yeah, you and I need to find some time besides this hour and is 90 minutes each week to just play
Play some cards.
and figure it out. Maybe get Cletus in there and
Yeah.
Urban VR and other folks that are in the watching us in the chat room now to play a little cards and see how this thing works.
Yeah. No, that would be a lot of fun.
So that's kind of the show for tonight. Eric, you got anything else?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Well,
Fun week.
a good show, long show, and we're glad that you're listening to us on this. We have some more plans with Chuck Joyner to do VisionPro Focus. Chuck Joyner of Mac Voices. Eric and I are on Mac Voices on Tuesday nights and join Chuck Joyner for his show, and he's doing some things with us with VisionPro Focus, where it's going to be more of a chat show around typical things that folks do with Apple Vision Pro, covering things like social platforms, photography, gaming, the 10 things that you want to know, first want people to know when using a Vision Pro. Those kinds of topics will be coming up, and we're going to simulcast it in both locations. So thanks for tuning in. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have ideas or want to join an episode, just email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. Our bumper music is from Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. And you can learn more about us on our website, visionprofiles.info. Now I think we're switching it to visionprofiles.net. and all of our available podcasts at thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening. Eric's another great night spending time with you talking about vision profiles, and we will see you next time.